Here are 5 tips for being an efficient mentor, as well as some do's and don'ts for guiding and managing students under your care. Number 1 is get help. Not necessarily you need the help, but most universities, as well as some scientific research institutions, have special departments of education or outreach that are devoted to not only teaching students, but teaching faculty and staff how to manage students and how to foster great student-mentor relationships. What I found very helpful before I would start a relationship with a student in my research position was to check in with the educational department and tell them, hey, I have this student coming in. This is what their research interests are. This is what their personality is like. Do you have any advice on how I can manage my time with this person better, manage their research better, and make it for an altogether better experience? When the student would arrive, I would have additional check-ins every couple of months with the educational department just to see how things are going and whether we can make anything better. Now, it might sound a bit like overkill, but it really helped me. I could manage to talk to my students much better afterwards, and I knew exactly what worked and what didn't. And every student is different. Which brings me to point 2, which is communicate. It's always important to tell your student what you expect of them, how you expect them to perform, but also the communication channel goes both ways. It's important to tell your student that if they have an issue, they can always talk to you. The communication is very important because, especially in some professions such as mathematics or theoretical physics, most of the work that students will be doing will be on their own, without any collaboration with students in your group or research department. And having somebody to talk to, if nothing to discuss the current problem, will help them. I've often seen professors who have certain expectations from their students but fail to convey them to them, which brings to a lot of disappointed students, disappointed mentors, and an altogether bad situation. It's always best for the student to know what you expect and for you to know what the student expects of the mentoring experience. Number 3, which again is fairly important but often neglected in academia, is give your students time to rest, and in fact encourage it. It seems like the standard in academia is to work long hours, to be in the lab over the weekends, and to respond to your email 24/7. But an overworked student is a tired student, is a student who doesn't do their best work. And when you're tired, you're also sad, and when you're sad, it becomes even harder to do good work and to show up full of energy, enthusiasm, and elan for your work every day. If you encourage your students to take evenings off, to go travel on the weekends, to enjoy a social life outside of the institution or university, you'll be helping not only their psychological health, but the success of their project. They'll be happier, they'll work happier. Number 4 is set meetings with your student and follow through. Of course, not to overwork them, it's always best to do it sometime in the middle of the week. Don't set a meeting on Monday, it will force your student to work through the weekend. Don't set it on Friday, they will get nervous throughout the week. Middle of the week, nice and gentle, regular check-ins. If you don't regularly check in with your student, well, remember when you were a student and something went wrong? Did you go and talk to your supervisor? Maybe not. Maybe you wanted to hide it, keep it to yourself, cross your fingers and hope it gets better. But if you make these regular check-ins a normal thing, it'll make the communication between you two much smoother. And then you'll know exactly where the research is at any moment. Number 5, the final one, be a good example. Think back on times when you were a student. Think of the good mentors that you had and the bad ones. What did the good ones do? Did they encourage you? Give you a good job every so often when you did something well? Give you ideas and support? And the bad ones? Maybe didn't respond to your emails, didn't want to meet with you, didn't have a kind word for things that you thought were great accomplishments. Think about those things and try to be a good mentor. Because what you end up doing with a student that you mentor might one day be what they tell their students a bad mentor is. Always keep a good relationship with your students, mentees, because one day they might work with you and they might help you go on with your career.